Hi guys! So, as usual, it's Sunday, so there's only one thing on my mind, and that's to talk about the book that I've been reading this week, and I've just finished it about 20 minutes ago or something. And that is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. Now, this was a bit unusual because I don't know if you saw my announcement video how I was pretty sure that I've read this book, but I couldn't remember anything about it, I was just thinking because it came out like 7 or 8 years ago or something like that. So it could well be that I just read it and I've forgotten over time. And when I started reading it this week, I remembered reading the beginning, but then at a certain point when I was reading it, this week, I realised I couldn't remember anything after that point. So I think it was a case of I started to read it, something got in the way, I put it down, and I didn't pick it up again. So for me, I'll say it was a first read. Let's do it, because it wasn't far into the book where I completely forgot. Or I went, no, I'm sure I haven't read past this point. So I'm classing this as a first read for the week. So, in case you haven't come across it, The Graveyard Book is basically it's a modern retelling of the Jungle Book. Rather than a boy being raised in the jungle by a load of animals, it's about a boy being raised in a graveyard by a load of ghosts. And it has quite a dramatic opening with a man called Jack, who is in a house. He has murdered a man, a woman, so the parents, a little girl, and he's looking for a baby boy in the house to murder as well. But he's found that the baby boy has climbed out of his cot and escaped, even though he's only a few months old or something. He's climbed out of his cot, hidden, and escaped from the house away from him. He has gone into a graveyard, and a man called Silas was there, and he basically made Jack go away, not in a violent manner or anything. He just used a little magic, shall we say, to make Jack go away. And in the graveyard, the ghosts of the baby's parents appear, along with the other ghosts that within the graveyard. And his parents beg the ghosts that are there permanently to look after him, because they're fading, they're going off to the next world, become his parents, look after him, protect him at all times. They agree that he has to stay in the graveyard, but the whole reason why he has to be there and everything, this is a big secret which gets revealed throughout the course of the book. As time goes on, the baby grows up. He is looked after by a couple of ghosts who are man and wife called the Owenses, Mr. and Mrs. Owens, and he gets adopted by them. And his name is Nobody Owens because they didn't know his name. They didn't ask his name before his parents faded away. So, but his shortening of his name is Bod, B-O-D, Bod. And it's about this little boy being raised in this graveyard. He can see ghosts, he can do certain things like fade, from view, as it were, as ghosts do. He has these unique abilities within the graveyard, but he always wants to go beyond the gates and see what's out there. Silas is a man. He basically is kind of like the caretaker of the places where he locks up all the gates and everything each night and opens them each day and everything. So he is his guardian, but he is raised by the ghosts and such. And Bod is told that no harm can come to him while Silas is there, or one of Silas's appointed friends, as it were, because sometimes Silas has to go away to do various things. And yeah, it's all about this boy growing up, trying to understand who he is. Why is this man trying to find him? Wanting to know the truth about what really happened that night, who his parents were, what his name is. Trying to understand the world. And it's really cleverly written, really beautifully written. I think this is, I would say it's on par for me with And Nasty Boys, which I read in October. Yes, it was. It was around the literature festival, Cheltenham Literature Festival. So yeah, up there with And Nasty Boys. And And Nasty Boys for me is just behind Neverwhere and Good Omens, which he wrote with Terry Pratchett. So I'd say this is like my joint third then favourite, because yeah, it's Neverwhere, Good Omens, and Nasty Boys, and is third, and this is tallying third place as well. So yeah, it's so cleverly written, so beautifully written, so easy to read. I got through this really quickly, because it's been a hell of a week again at work, so I haven't had much time to do my reading, and I finished my college course this week as well, so it's kind of, I've had limited time to sit down and read, but when I have, I've just like flown through this book because it's been so easy to read, and it's full, I have to say, of these absolutely wonderful illustrations, such as this. This is the beginning of chapter 2, so Bod is grown up a little bit, and here's, oh dear, here's an image of the graveyard and everything, and there's Bod kicking a stone about wanting to go beyond the gates, but he's not allowed to. And some parts, you know, they're throughout the course of the chapter, some they're just at the beginning of the chapter. There's a beautiful there. These are the Owenses, who are Bod's, the ghost that adopted Bod, and this is one of his friends, and they're keeping a lookout for a certain event that's happening in the book at that point, but I won't say what it is. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd really recommend it. It's one of those stories I think is quite universal for ages. There's no one distinct category, so this could very easily fit in young adults. It very easily fits in adult fantasy. It's a really wonderful collection of characters, so well thought out, so well structured. Just a really enjoyable read. Sometimes you can really see the references to Jungle Book. Like there's this point where he's taken by the ghouls to meet their kind of leader, and he's picked up by all of them, literally picked up in the air, and he's tossed about from hand to hand to each of them as they go travelling to their main area to meet their leader. And obviously that's the link to the Jungle Book is Mowgli with the monkeys being taken to their leader, and he's being tossed about between the monkeys in the branches as they travel as well. So there are some very distinct references to the Jungle Book that you can see very clearly. Other ones are quite subtle, and the whole, I never would have thought of reimagining the Jungle Book as the boy growing up in a graveyard by a load of ghosts. How on earth could that be the same? And the links and everything, the whole understanding of what the graveyard represents, and then going forth to the future, and especially the ending, it's got a really powerful message to it. And yeah, I was really quite sad when the book ended, not because of the characters and where they were or everything, because I have great hopes for Bod and everything and everyone at the end. I was sad because it ended, because I didn't want it to stop. But isn't that the definition of a great book, where you feel gutted that you come to the last page? I don't know. It certainly is true for me in that regard. So yeah, Neil Gaiman, I would say it's another diamond, this one, and yeah, literally every single book of his that I've read, apart from one, which was The Ocean at the End of the Lane, which I read right at the beginning of this year. Apart from that one book, everything that Neil Gaiman has written, I have thoroughly enjoyed. He's my kind of writer. It takes me to these fantastical worlds with these amazing characters, and just gives me a great, eloquently written, fun, fabulous story that I just absolutely love every single time. And so I will read all of his works. I love him. I think he's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I'm going to stop there. As far as I know, there aren't any adaptations of Neil Gaiman's book in regards to the Graveyard Book, sorry. So, I mean, I'm sure there's an audio book, just as not last week, sorry, when I read, oh gosh, what was this other book I read recently? Oh, Stardust. I reread Stardust. Sorry, I was thinking first read book, not reread book. Sorry. When I read Stardust, I was recommended to listen to the audiobook. I still haven't gotten around to that. I'm sure there's definitely an audiobook of the Graveyard book, which I'm sure is be absolutely fantastic as well. But for like a drama or a film or radio or whatever. I don't know of any adaptation of the Graveyard Book, but if there was one, I'd certainly go see the film or listen to the radio version or whatever. The TV series, I would love it. I really, really enjoyed this book, and it's one that won't be disappearing off my bookshelf anytime soon. Okay then, guys, so that's it. I'm going to stop now, and as usual, I'll do another video talking about announcing which book I'm going to be reading for the next week, and I will be back later. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Have you read The Graveyard Book? I'd love to know what you think. You can leave me a comment in the comments box below, or if you want to show me what you think of this book another way, you can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Entirely up to you. I'll let you decide. Alright then, guys. Bye!